Tonight on To The Point, tracking Hurricane Milton.
It's still expected to be one of the most and worst destructive hurricanes to hit Florida in over a century.
We're live in Tampa as communities brace for life-threatening storm surge and flooding. Plus, Chevron pushing back as state lawmakers prepare to vote on controlling oil supply across the state.
They're trying to appease voters, and in fact, they don't want to work on the real problem.
And later, Aftershock in Sacramento, how businesses are preparing for the major rock music festival at Discovery Park. Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us on To The Point. I'm Alex Bell. We start tonight tracking Hurricane Milton. It made landfall less than an hour ago on Florida's Gulf Coast as a Category 3 storm. This is a live look at Tampa tonight. You can see the wind pushing rain against the roads there. The camera's just shaking. Look at the palm trees on the left side of your screen, just absolutely being pounded by this storm that is coming in. So throughout the day, the storm already bringing that strong wind that we were just seeing, rain and flooding parts of the state. Several reported tornadoes also left a trail of damage like this in Fort Myers, Florida. But I want to get to ABC's Jacqueline Lee. She is live in Tampa tonight with us for more on what's to be expected. One of the strongest hurricanes on record to hit the region. Good evening, Jacqueline.
That's right, Alex. You know, we are in the worst of it, the thick of it. You could see how strong the wind gusts are, the rain just going sideways, soaking us. And we're on the third story of a parking garage. It's already starting to flood, just showing how serious this storm is. Hurricane Milton closing in on the west coast of Florida. Rain and wind already being felt. The storm's outer bands spawning several tornadoes throughout the state. Home security footage capturing this possible tornado tearing through a neighborhood in Fort Myers, leaving a trail of damage. The massive storm expected to bring a record-breaking storm surge of 8 to 12 feet for the Tampa Bay and Fort Myers areas. An even bigger storm surge of 10 to 15 feet is expected into Sarasota and south. Water beginning to cover streets in Sarasota.
Hurricane Milton is going to be a deadly and catastrophic storm. It will bring massive storm surge, high winds, and severe flooding.
Resources assembled to respond. Utility crews on standby, anticipating widespread power outages. President Biden and Vice President Harris both briefed on the situation this afternoon.
People of Florida and all the impacted states, we've got your back. We've got your back. And Kamala and I will be there for as long as it takes to rescue, recover, and rebuild.
Millions warned to evacuate, and many listened. Some packing what they could, going to shelters.
Everybody's worried about the same thing, you know, do you have a home to come back to or, you know, damage?
The Sunshine Skyway Bridge over Tampa Bay closed. People fortified their homes.
Buttoned up the best we could and we got out of there.
One homeowner literally tying down his home using heavy-duty straps. And FEMA says more than 1,000 first responders are ready with food and water, ready to jump in to help after the storm passes, as well as search and rescue teams. In Tampa, Jacqueline Lee, ABC 10.
Jacqueline, speaking of those rescue crews, do you know what rescue efforts will look like after this storm?
Yeah, so what officials have said is they have thousands of National Guard troops, Coast Guard members, first responders on hand. They're all staged around the state, ready to jump in as soon as Hurricane Milton passes. Of course, the huge concern is the storm surge as well as the tornadoes. Unfortunately, first responders cannot jump in until all of this passes, until everyone is safe to then help others who got caught in this dangerous path.
Jacqueline Lee reporting for us live in Tampa, Florida tonight. Jacqueline, thank you so much. We are also tracking a weather impact alert out of Florida with Hurricane Milton. So I want to bring in meteorologist Carly Gomez with us tonight, who is tracking the latest on this storm. And we know it is devastating, to say the least.
It is. And the bulk of it, the portion of those rain bands, the heaviest rain, is impacting Tampa Bay directly. So all of the areas that were hit, especially into Davis Island, they saw a lot of flooding with Helene. Those areas are also getting hit once again. As we take a look, the landfall of this was just about 1 hour ago, as we saw that making its way landfall there near Siesta Key. Now, take notice, just north of Sarasota, the heaviest rain still continues to make its way up toward Tampa to the northeast, and then that'll continue to spin right back around. So the concern, of course, is when it starts wrapping around, which areas are going to start getting impacted again in the overnight hours and early morning hours, as many think it might have passed, but we're going to continue to see that track to the northeast. Of course, you can see all the rain and heaviest rain just moving its way just past St. Petersburg now toward Tampa, the center there, and toward Lakeland as it's going to continue shifting toward the northeast. Now, take a look at the precipitation forecast. As much as 5 to 7 inches is expected into early Friday morning. Now, most of this, of course, is dangerous. A lot of heavy rain, flooding, all of that. But again, it's a storm surge that we're very concerned about how high those waves get, up to 10 feet potentially for a lot of those areas, especially just onshore. As we continue to track Milton here, we do expect that 3 to quickly become a 1 as it's just shy of Orlando, and then eventually make its exit into the Atlantic, hopefully just continue its path out to sea. So that's the good news. It shouldn't impact areas in our states closer to the shoreline of the Atlantic, but we are going to continue to track this and give you updates when they are available.
And Carly will have your full forecast coming up after the break, but we do just want to stop for a second and mention that we know many of you have friends and family out there. So to get in-depth live information on all things Hurricane Milton, make sure you head to our ABC 10 Plus streaming app. There we will take a look at what you need to know and how the path of the storms, how those people can stay safe while this storm is happening right now. Developing tonight in Lincoln, here at home, police are investigating a crash between a pedestrian and a logging truck. ABC 10 was not allowed inside the business, but police did describe the accident as a major crash at Sierra Pacific. We are working to get more information, and we will keep you updated on air and online. Turning now to California's high gas prices, state lawmakers are expected to vote on new legislation by the end of this week. Those in support of the bill, known as ABX 2-1, believe that it would lower gas prices. But tonight, Chevron tells us if lawmakers pass this bill, it would only drive the costs up. ABC 10's Jeannie Nguyen is here to break everything down.
Alex, for months, state lawmakers, the governor, and oil refinery companies have been going back and forth, placing blame on one another for high gas prices in California. Tonight, I spoke with Chevron's president of America's Products, who just condemned the state's latest proposal and past policies.
The measure has 9 yeses, 2 no votes. It's out.
On Monday, California's special session bill ABX 2-1 passed a Senate committee hearing calling for oil companies to maintain a minimum level of inventory to avoid price spikes. Chevron responded, sending this letter to Senator Stephen Bradford and Assemblymember Cotty Petrie Norris.
I want to make sure that lawmakers understand the consequences of their decisions over the last 20 years and decisions that they're making going forward.
Andy Walls, the president of Chevron's America's Products, who has been working for Chevron for the past 35 years, says his letter to California lawmakers is his way of telling them they're misinformed.
Well, there's no place to put extra product. There's no tanks where the refineries are full. Okay. What's happening is they've been shutting refineries because it's not a place where people want to operate or invest in that business. California is directly trying to get us out of business, and therefore there's no longer the same amount of capacity.
One of the main points discussed during the special session is preventing oil companies from price gouging, something Chevron says is ridiculous.
If we were breaking the law anywhere, we would no longer be in business. That is a ridiculous statement. It's a politically motivated statement. It has nothing to do with facts.
Senator Bradford and Assemblymember Petrie Norris would not provide us with an interview or statement about Chevron's letter. But on Monday, Bradford expressed his support for the bill, though he has reservations.
Refineries are already obligated to meet these gasoline supply agreements during turnarounds. I fear many times that we're putting inventory quotas before safety and before real pricing. So those are some of the concerns.
Ultimately, Chevron, as stated in the letter this week, believes lawmakers should leave this decision to the experts.
I think what they're doing is playing politics. They're trying to appease voters. And in fact, they don't want to work on the real problem.
Now, in response to the letter, the governor's office tells ABC 10 in part, experts agree that prices spike when the industry fails to plan for outages and that this policy will save consumers billions, adding that Chevron has not shown up to answer for themselves to the legislature, to which Chevron told us today they have been present and are speaking to lawmakers. Alex.
Jeannie, thank you. Tonight, the state is revoking the contractor's license of Anchored Tiny Homes, and we have been covering the Fair Oaks-based company accused of taking millions of dollars and leaving ADU projects abandoned. In this order from the Contractor State License Board, the company's license will be revoked by November 8th, 2024. However, the company has 30 days to respond and request a reconsideration. To date, the CSLB has not received a notice of defense from Anchored Tiny Homes, but this is a story that we will continue to follow. New tonight, a Sacramento man is under arrest on suspicion of homicide after his baby boy died at the hospital. The Sacramento Police Department responded to a hospital on Stockton Boulevard around 10 a.m. Tuesday after a mother brought her baby boy to the emergency room with injuries. The baby was later pronounced dead. 22-year-old Miguel Jimenez faces homicide-related charges. Investigators are asking anyone with further information to give Sacramento police a call. An animal cruelty investigation is underway involving a husky rescue out in Nevada County. 33 dogs were seized at Motherlode Husky Haven on Banner Quaker Hill Road, a remote area of the county. The operator of the rescue, 67-year-old Brady Fear, was arrested and faces 33 counts of misdemeanor animal cruelty and 1 count of felony animal cruelty. Since the dogs were seized, Animal Control says 2 of them have already died.
What we encountered was a number of animals that appeared very sick or injured, clearly not having any type of treatment, suffering in the conditions they were being forced to endure. And on top of that, for the entire pack of dogs, lack of any shade, lack of appropriate food and water.
22 of the dogs are under the care of Sammy's Friends Animal Shelter in Grass Valley, and they are ready for adoption. Still ahead onto the point, businesses are preparing for one of the West Coast's largest rock festivals at Discovery Park.
Highs today in those mid to upper 80s and a few low 90s out there, but we could get cooler as we move toward next week. What temperatures will look like into your weekend.
Meteorologist Carly Gomez with a look at our forecast, and it's going to be absolutely beautiful outside these next couple of nights. Tell them what's happening.
Well, we do have another chance to see the northern lights. They are expecting to make their way into areas of Northern California for tomorrow night and into Friday morning. Now, what we can expect is that Aurora Borealis forecast here is we have different levels of severity of the geomagnetic storm. Now, we are expecting a G4 storm, which would put us right around a 7-8. And a lot of this is going to be pushing 8 to almost 9 even for some areas, especially for the Pacific Northwest. Now, the viewing for us could be down as low as Northern California, but that is with the naked eye. Now, for long exposure lenses, it could be as far south as areas of Tennessee and Alabama. That means for us, we could expect to see it out there. Maybe you're seeing a little bit of a dance happening in the sky, but it's not super bright in color. But as soon as you pull your phone out and you take a picture in that direction, you're going to start seeing it on the camera phone as different shades of colors, maybe pink, especially in our areas. What we've been mostly seeing is those pretty pink colors. So go ahead into the evening hours, especially if those clouds start to part their way, and see if you can catch a view of that into the overnight early morning hours again Thursday into Friday. All right, right now in the Big Mountain backyard, we're looking at mid 80s to low 80s, 68 in Tahoe. Partly cloudy skies have been off and on throughout the day, but the cooling trend is here. We're looking at a weak storm system moving in late Friday night into Saturday morning. Could bring light rain, but most of that's a 20% chance north of I-80. But we're still seeing some decreasing fire concerns, so that's good news. As these systems begin to push through, we're mostly going to get partly cloudy skies in our region for the next few days, and then we'll start to get a dip and a trough moving in from the jet stream that'll start moving through as well. That'll move over Northern California, cooling us down now into the upper 70s and low 80s into next week. Now moving into our foothills, we'll see mid to upper 80s tomorrow. Bay Area is looking at temperatures right around the 60s and upper 60s to low 70s. And then for us over the next few days, those low 80s turn to upper 70s, and we're going to continue that trend through even next weekend.
Thanks, Carly. Next onto the point, Aftershock right here in Sacramento, how businesses are preparing for the major rock music festival at Discovery Park, plus celebrating Hispanic heritage. An author shares her story of assimilation in the growing Latino community. The West Coast's largest rock festival is back at Discovery Park tomorrow, and dozens of businesses are very eager to see it return. ABC 10's Roxana Leah shows us how they're preparing for a lot of fans.
Alex, organizers here tell me the festival has its biggest lineup yet, with 8 headliners and an addition of a 5th stage, which is a first in history. The gates at this year's Aftershock Festival are preparing to open up Thursday at Discovery Park. About 40,000 people are expected a day from all over the world. Businesses surrounding the festival say they're more than ready to welcome the fans. Marco Rodriguez, the co-owner of Algo Bueno in Northgate Boulevard community, says it benefits not just them, but all of Sacramento.
Locally, I think everybody kind of loves Northgate, and they all love what we're providing, stuff like that. But now we're also getting recognition from people outside of Sacramento. So we get a lot of visitors that are traveling, that they're staying in hotels here. They're either flew in, they drove in.
Visit Sacramento also tells us that the festival brings in an estimated $30 million economic impact, and a lot of those attendees actually are from out of the area. In Sacramento, Roxanne Elias, ABC 10.
ABC 10 is celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month, and tonight, ABC 10's Laura Painter joins us with a story about assimilation and our growing Latino community. Good evening, Laura. Hello.
Alex. Yeah, good to see you.
You too.
Best-selling Mexican-American author and speaker Julissa Arce just visited the Sacramento region, which is now home to 600,000 Hispanics and Latinos. Tonight, she shares her story behind her new book, challenging the idea that assimilation brings happiness and belonging for immigrants in this country.
I want people to read this book and see themselves and see their experiences reflected in the pages that they read.
ABC 10 was at American River College as she shared insights from her latest book and discussed what it means to be Latino in America today.
The main message of You Sound Like a White Girl, or the thing that I want people to come away with, is that I want them to walk into every room and feel like they belong there, because they do.
Julissa encourages her readers to thrive in their own skin.
To thrive in my own skin has really meant to be proud of where I come from, to be proud of my people, to be proud of my history.
Julissa came to the U.S. as an undocumented immigrant from Mexico as a child. As she writes about her childhood, growing up, and eventually landing a finance job on Wall Street, she explores racism, hypocrisy, and the power of language, especially English.
There is a passage in You Sound Like a White Girl where I write about my dad sort of shrinking every time that he spoke English. It really affected me, really made me feel like, what is this language that is doing that to my dad?
After reading her book cover to cover, I wanted to ask Julissa more about how writing this book helped her heal.
In some ways, yes, I am still on this healing journey because I think it never really ends. You know, you kind of have to keep reclaiming all of these things that sometimes you lose when you assimilate.
And part of that struggle is with identity. Julissa writes about the complexities of identity and pulling back the curtain on what it means to be Latino.
It's sort of said that Latino is an ethnicity, but not even all Latinos share the same culture, right? Even the words that we use to describe ourselves can cause controversy, right? Is it Latino? Is it Hispanic? Is it Latinx? Is it Latinx? So the biggest thing about Latino identity is that we have to define it for ourselves. So it's complex, but I think that there is a really beautiful thing about coming together as a community, even if we don't always agree on what our community should even be called.
Still ahead on To The Point, investigating the state's insurance crisis. In less than 3 minutes, what to expect right here tomorrow night on To The Point. As we've reported on ABC 10, Californians are facing a major insurance crisis. Insurers are limiting business or leaving the state altogether. They say it's due to a changing climate, inflation, and government regulation. And it's left hundreds of thousands of people struggling to find affordable and comprehensive home and commercial insurance policies.
We've never filed a claim. Why would they ever cancel us? We pay our bill on time.
We need federal support that's actually going to be able to lower these risks.
The To The Point team spent months speaking to people and businesses right here in our community and questioning elected officials about what's being done to help fix this crisis. So make sure that you watch California's home insurance crisis, a To The Point special investigation right here tomorrow at 6:30, only on ABC 10. And you can also stream it on the ABC 10 Plus app. As always, thank you so much for spending part of your day with us. If you have something we should be looking into, reach out to me and the team. And remember, To The Point does not end here. You can always watch our stories on our free ABC 10 app. Hey, it's Alex. I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. The To The Point team and I love hearing from you, and I hope that you'll stay in touch. And don't forget, you can always email me and the team at tothepoint@abc10.com, or you can even send us a text message at 916-321-3310.